Long before any ships from Europe crossed the great Atlantic Ocean, America was not an empty land. It was a continent bustling with life. These were the Native Americans. They lived in every corner of the land, the icy north, the hot south, the eastern forests, the western deserts. Each group had its own language, its own beliefs, and its own way of life. They built amazing cities, they farmed the land with corn beans and created beautiful art. They understood the seasons and lived in harmony with the world around them, a world they had known for thousands of years and considered their sacred home. Life in the 13 colonies was under the control of a faraway king in Great Britain. The colonists were British subjects, but they started to feel different from the people back in England. They were building their own lives, their own towns, and their own economies thousands of miles across the sea. The British government, however, saw the colonies as a source of money. To pay for its wars and its large empire, Britain began to impose new taxes on the colonists. They taxed things like sugar, paper, tea. This made the colonists very angry. They had no one to represent them in the British government. No taxation without representation. In Boston, a group of colonists disguised as Native Americans threw chests of British tea into the harbor in an event that became known as the Boston Tea Party. The British government responded with harsh new laws, which only made the colonists more united in their frustration. Samuel Adams, John Hancock, Patrick Henry began to speak about a radical idea: freedom. On July 4, 1776, a year after the war began, leaders from the 13 colonies approved a very special document. It was the Declaration of Independence. The new United States was growing fast. After the Revolution, the nation began to spread westward, pushing its borders across the continent. But as the country grew, a deep and terrible division also grew within it. This division was about slavery. In the southern states, the economy was built on large farms called plantations, cotton, tobacco. This work was done by millions of enslaved African Americans who were treated as property, not as people. In the northern states, the economy was based on factories, small farms, and slavery was slowly becoming illegal. The North and the South were becoming two different worlds. In 1860, a man named Abraham Lincoln was elected president. The southern states were afraid he would try to end slavery everywhere. So, one by one, 11 southern states decided to leave the United States. The Civil War began in 1861. It was a brutal and bloody war that pitted Americans against Americans, brother against brother. In 1863, President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which declared that all slaves in the Confederate States were free. Finally, in 1865, the North, known as the Union, won the war. The country was reunited and slavery was ended everywhere in the United States. After the Civil War, the United States entered a period of, honestly, incredible growth and change. Railroads were built across the vast plains, connecting east and west coasts like never before. Settlers poured into the new territories, seeking land gold opportunity. At the same time, the country was transforming into an industrial giant. New inventions like the telephone and the electric light bulb changed how people lived and worked. Millions of immigrants arrived from all over the world, especially from Southern Europe, Eastern Europe, seeking jobs and a better life. In World War I, it helped its allies defeat Germany. 2 decades later, World War II, after the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, millions of American men and women served in the military or worked in factories to produce weapons and supplies. Came to a sudden end with the stock market crash of 1929. This started the Great Depression. Millions lost jobs, homes, and savings. President Franklin D. Roosevelt offered a New Deal, a series of government programs designed to create jobs and help people. The second half of the 20th century was a time of, well, profound social change defined by the struggle for civil rights. Despite the end of slavery, African Americans still faced widespread discrimination and segregation, especially in the South. Leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. rose to lead a powerful, peaceful movement to demand equal rights. Through marches, protests, and powerful speeches like his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, the civil rights movement challenged the conscience of the nation and pushed for change. This struggle led to historic laws, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The movement for equality did not stop there. Women fought for equal pay and opportunities. On September 11, 2001, the country experienced a shocking terrorist attack that changed it forever. At the same time, amazing new technologies, especially the internet and the smartphone, were changing everything about how people communicate, work, and live their lives. Today, on September 13, 2025, the United States continues to be shaped by every chapter of its long and complicated history. The legacy of the native peoples, the ideals of the revolution, the scars of the Civil War, and the country we continue to build together.